Hey, this is Elias from the band Nonpoint, and you are watching Good Company.
Hey guys, my name's Scott Bowling and you're watching Good Company. Today I have Elias Soriano. Elias is the lead singer of Nonpoint. Nonpoint's been around for over 20 years now. They have 9 albums. We also get to talk to Lowery. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He actually circumcised my daughter.
Did he? Man.
Doesn't make any sense.
All right, man. Appreciate you being here,
Hey,
brother.
good to see you, Scott. Yeah, this is the first day I actually got to meet you.
Yeah, man.
We've been
awesome,
talking over email for a couple of days.
Dude, I've been a fan for a long time, and it's crazy how long you guys been around for. Like 97? Is that when you started?
Way to make a guy feel old.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got together in '97.
Was it Separate Yourself kind of?
First lineup, yeah. 2 separate bands kind of doing their thing in the scene. We had a couple members that, you know, this life isn't for everybody. You know, you don't always see the end game and the big picture at the end. So a lot of times, you know, people aren't as wholehearted, invested into projects. And Rob
really
felt
young
that,
at the time.
Yeah. Rob felt that happening, and we played a local show with a band called Fuse that had Andy, our old guitar player, and Ken, our old bass player, in it. And I was actually going to go in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because our old bass player quit Nonpoint Factor at the time and was going on to get signed and do his thing. And, I was finishing up college, and the company that was sponsoring my scholarship actually went out of business. So I was having to pay for my own schooling. So I was looking at the military because my brother was in the military, and my father and his father and my aunts and uncles. And so it's basically a military family. And Rob was like, hey, don't go anywhere. He was like, if we get these 2 dudes to come jam with us, will you hang out for a little while? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And one thing led to another. We exchanged numbers and got in a room and jammed, and Nonpoint became Nonpoint.
So before you guys started your first record, here it is, right? Statement. Mm-hmm. You guys this is by MCA, right? Do you guys MCA signed you?
Yes.
So how'd you go from that point to Separate Yourself to getting a record contract?
Well, at the time, the scene was kind of starting to explode in South Florida. Manson had just gotten picked up. There was a couple of local bands in the area drawing big numbers. So radio started leaning on local acts in South Florida because the rock element wasn't as big as it was in places like Tampa or Jacksonville or Orlando. And we were from South Florida. So we started almost poaching fans from other bands in the scene, and South Florida is set up almost like the tri-state area. So you have, Boston isn't so far from New York, isn't so far from New Jersey. So that whole Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, allows people in that area to tour from venue to venue pretty easily. Yeah. Well, we were doing the same thing in South Florida. We were going from West Palm Beach, playing one Friday, the next Friday playing Fort Lauderdale, the next Friday playing Miami, and then the next month doing it all over again. So we'd play 3 shows a month with whoever the heavy hitters were in the area, and radio started advertising and supporting those local shows. And from there, we got an invite to play the local stage for a big thing called Zeta Fest down in South Florida at the time when 94.9 Zeta was around. And our manager at the time was Jason Beeler from Saigon Kick, was in a band, I'm trying to remember the name of the band, but the album was called Shuttlecock. I remember that. Very memorable. Props to you, Jay. You can name a fucking album. The album was called Shuttlecock. And you know what a shuttlecock is?
No.
I didn't know what a shuttlecock was either until he told me. It's the thing in the badminton. It's the ball in the badminton game. Of course it is. Of course it has the word cock in it. He was actually getting a rest backstage in the van, and we took the stage to play our show. And then when we were done, we had sampler tapes. That's right, tapes. Google it. You'll learn about tapes. Sampler tapes. We had 250 sampler tapes that my guitar player, Sammy, stole from his customer service department, who used to get tapes by like the boxes that would only hold like 5 or 6 minutes, so that way they could record a phone call and teach a rep how to do something properly. Well, he stole 250 of them when we put a bunch of Non-Point songs on them.
Nice.
And gave them away for free that day. Well, once we were done playing, I announced on stage that we had free tapes, and literally the entire crowd ran for the Mars Music tent, which Rob was working at Mars Music, which is like a Sam Ash back in the day. And then we got rid of all the tapes within like
You
seconds.
still have any of those tapes?
Rob does. Rob has one of everything that from our entire history. He's our almanac, without a doubt. But because Jason saw that happen, you know, he picked up the phone and he was like, "I know a guy at MCA that's signing bands like you right now." He says, "Let's sit down. Let's talk about your music. See how serious you guys are about it." And then he introduced us to Hans Haydelt, which was the A&R guy for this record. And then we started our major label life.
Yeah. Every song on here, man, is tight. It's you guys had your own thing back then, you know?
Yeah, it's the new stuff is definitely we're taking a page out of this book. The first song on the new record is almost 6 minutes long, so we're really you know, when you're on record number 10, you do what the fuck you want to do, you know, and that's basically what, you know, what the goal is. We're sitting down with a producer that we've been going back and forth with for now 3 records.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Brian Virtue, he did Chevelle, he's done Deftones.
Oh, wow.
He worked on Jane's Addiction records, and you know, he's worked on some of the biggest records and some of the most, you know, life-altering and life-changing, connecting records.
How'd you guys get hooked up with him?
We actually were with Razor and Tie at the time. We were looking for a studio to record in, and Razor and Tie wanted us to sit down with a songwriter, which was cool, but it really wasn't our thing. We've kind of been doing our thing for 20 years, and it's been what it is because we've kind of just kind of wanted to keep that constant about our band. You know, we'll bring in a producer, we'll bring in you know, people that we like to record with, but you know, when it comes to the actual song, I don't want to do what somebody else tells me to do, because then it's not my baby anymore. And I'm all good for covering a song. I'm all good for, you know, suggestions and working. But at the end of the day, you know, once it gets to a certain point, you have to decide whether or not your idea or your opinion is better or if it's just different. And I found over the courtship of talking to a lot of producers and wanting us to get in and out of the studio quickly, you know, it's really just churning and getting us in and out and putting another name on a record. And you know, I really wanted somebody that wanted to be a part of the project and really wanted to be engaged with the music and not just go, okay, we got 3.5 minutes to get a point across. Try this word instead of this word. Try this note instead of this note. You know, I wanted for one time in my career to sit down with a producer that wanted to take the time with an actual song and go, well, why are you doing this? What's the intention behind everything? And not only that, there's 4 other people doing something. What are all their intentions? So I found that with Brian.
That's good.
Brian is a guy that, working with the Jane's Addiction record, on a Jane's Addiction record, I don't know if you even noticed, because I didn't even notice until he brought it up. But Jane's Addiction doesn't have a chorus on any song.
I never noticed that.
There's never a chorus. It's
Wow.
always a tagline, a verse,
Yeah.
and then music transition into the next part.
I almost think of Jane Says.
Jane's Addiction sold hundreds of thousands of records, played on hundreds of radio stations, still to this day get played. So there's no rules. And I was tired of sitting down and talking to people that had nothing but rules. And Brian was probably one of the very first producers that I felt like once I spoke to him that he understood my intention for actually doing something, and he's worked on some of those great records. So I really trust his opinion on telling me that my idea isn't better, because I'm going to be objective, and it's my baby that I if I write a song, I write a lyric, I write a melody, it's going to be good to me because it's my baby, and sometimes you need that outside opinion just to look and go, your baby's gorgeous, but let her hair grow a little bit.
You didn't get that opinion in your earlier years with the
No, because those back then it was running it through a formula. It was taking a bunch of great ideas and running it through a filter that then left me with a product that somebody else would be able to sell to advertisers. Let's not, it's the music business for a reason. I still have to be palatable when it comes to program directors and radio, if that's the game that I'm playing. Yeah. And we happen to start our career playing that game, but if you listen to the first record, you can tell that was never our intention. It was to get really just to be played on radio. Songs like Double Stack, songs like Tribute, songs like, Orgullo, don't say this needs to go on radio. All it does is it separated us from the pack a little bit. Maybe it separated us too much, and I can maybe tag that up to the history of my career, but at the end of the day, 99% of everything that you're gonna go through on every single one of these records was filtered through the members of the band and what we knew ultimately we were gonna have to represent on stage. I tell the one songwriter that I worked with, I'm like, hey man, don't get it twisted. I'm not going to say the fucking word lollipop in a song if I can't wear it on my sleeve when I'm singing it on stage. So there has to be some kind of level of honesty.
And you wrote all your songs too, right?
Yeah,
all your
lyrics, 99% of everything. One or two things, especially with the Spanish song, I lean on Rob. Every once in a while, Rob will come up with something brilliant. BC has come up, our new guitar player has come up with some amazing stuff that ended up on the last record, lyrically and vocally. Same thing on the new record. So there's definitely there's freedom in our band, but at the end of the day, Rob and I are it's really our child, and the new members of the band are stepmoms and stepdads, and coming in, showing that same level of love and doing what they can to really be a member of the family. And I think giving people the freedom, giving them equal splits is the way we do it, just because we're all out there doing it.
Run through your albums, man. We got the second one, Development, right here. This is really cool because, your first one sounded so much different than this one, dude. What was the growth process like?
Well, this one was, again, a major label. This was the last year that MCA was MCA. So it was a time that everyone felt the pinch coming in the industry. So
And this is around 2002.
yeah,
Maybe, something like that.
radio was a nightmare. Bands were coming out left and right. Nu metal had blown up.
Yeah.
So we had set such a tone and a pace with What a Day that, and created such stock at radio that was the label's concern. So wrote a bunch of songs. We were on the road for almost 18 months with that record and wrote this record on the road.
Wow. And you had so much more time on this record, probably, because that was
was
your
2
first
years
of
our
yeah.
life. No, that was 1.5 years of our life.
But you had more time to concentrate.
Right. Mm-hmm. This was 3 months. So it
Pressure.
we had more of a game plan when we shouldn't have had a game plan, I think, on this record.
But you had some great songs on here.
It stretched and reached more people, but it took people away from our original intention. So that's why we went to Recoil the way we did.
But I kind of want to talk about Recoil. That is by far my favorite album by you guys. I mean,
Thanks.
every song is tight, and it just starts off so strong.
But that's why it went from Statement to Development to then, Recoil. It's that attention that you get once you pull the trigger. It's that snapback and reminder that you're dealing with something serious. And at that point, it was record number 3.
And you guys aren't with MCA right now?
No, this was Lava Atlantic. Yeah, it was. It was Lava. And it was funny because after Development finished, we were debt-free because in order for Geffen to continue to keep us, they would have had to pay us an ungodly amount of money to pick up the third option. So they actually paid us to not record this record with them, which was strange because the record was almost done. And then at the time of us being chased during the Statement years, Lava was actually second in line. If we hadn't gone with MCA, we would have gone with Lava. Jason Flom sent Andy Karp down to South Florida during the Statement buzz, before we released Statement, and said to come check us out. So when we left MCA and literally left debt-free, Lava was able to then pick us up with almost $2 million in promotion behind it.
Wow. And
debt-free. So they were able to literally release this record.
How long did it take you guys to record this record?
This one we took a little bit more time. We had time because Jason Flom was actually really excited about this record and ended up giving us an extra couple of months in the studio and asked us to spend the time just writing new music. And that's when we first went after our first cover, because we hadn't done a cover outside of the melody that we did on Statement with Tribute.
Right.
So we hadn't done a full cover yet. And at the time we were out on tour, growing up in South Florida and growing up in Miami Vice was a huge culture down in South Florida.
Yeah.
And so In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins was gigantic down there. Granted, this was 2004. Yeah, I want to say, and Miami Vice, the one that Michael Mann didn't come out till 2006.
Yeah.
So it was 2 years after this.
Yeah, I remember that the single kind of exploding afterwards.
Afterwards, right? And it was funny because that's when sports started to take it on, and it was on Super Bowls and World Series.
I remember when I bought this, man. I was driving down the road and I didn't know this was on there. I was on the highway and the song just came on and I was like, whoa! But it was really cool, man.
Yeah, we wanted to do something a little bit different. We didn't want to make it too exactly what it was.
The drums are awesome, so I bet you Rob really liked that.
Yeah, that's
very up front.
Yeah, that's always fun. That's what we pretty much kept as is. Outside of that, we definitely wanted to make the song our own and freshen it up a little bit.
I saw you guys live once, and you said you said something like, "You don't know what we're about to play, but once we start, everybody's gonna know it." Or so you said some kind of like call out like that.
Yeah, you
and
may
it
not.
Started.
Yeah. You may not know who we are, but you're
Exactly.
gonna know the lyrics to this song.
So your next
I say a
album,
lot of the same shit. I do.
so your next album is To the Pain.
Yes.
So man, this is an awesome album. Bullet with a Name.
Yep. That was a year's.
Great songs.
A year's worth of work. That took a year to write. And that was after Lava actually didn't pick up our next option.
Oh, they didn't.
Yeah. They were going through the same thing where they were now. It's when the big five, it was 12 that went to 5. And then when that move happened, it went to 3. Where you had WEA, which is Warner Electro Atlantic, you had Sony Music Group, and you had Universal. And that's pretty much it. Outside of that, everybody else was just Roadrunner, Interscope, and then everyone else pretty much got absorbed by them. But that was when no one was willing to do anything at the time.
And that's before In the Air Tonight broke out real big.
That was on the tail of...
Oh.
Right, that was actually, it was during this time. It was the success of Bullet with a Name that really got us on the radar for the Miami Vice track. The popularity of that, I'm sure, is really what spun, the fact that was already getting steam. But To the Pain was through Beeler Brothers, through our manager's label, who was got an imprint through Universal. And we were distributed through them. So that was when we really felt like we got the reins back. And we were like, we're going to do what we want to do. We didn't have a producer. We did have a producer, but he was kind of our buddy. And he was he was an amazing engineer, Matt LaPlante. And we did that record with him and, really took the time.
That's awesome.
And that's why it's probably one of our more popular.
I love that song in there. It's like broken glass all around you. Is that
Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball. That is such a great song.
Yeah.
I love
and that was the first time that we played in A.
That was
Then Normally we played in drop C, but that was
whose idea was it to play in A?
I think it was my guitar player's, but it could have been my drummer's because he loves playing in drop A. Everything lower, everything heavy.
Okay, next one, man. Vengeance.
Yep.
Great album.
That was the last record with Andy, which is probably why he looks so sad right there.
Yeah.
This is when things started to get kind of tough.
Why did he leave?
He just didn't want to do music anymore. By this time we're 10 years in. New metal started to take a dip. It was starting to turn into screamo. Thursday, those type of bands were kind of starting to blow up. And, for us, it was our last record on Beeler Brothers. And it was the same thing with them. Things were starting to get tough with everyone, across the board. The big 5 had gone down to 3. And we were... we were questioning things just in general, But after this record is when we decided to reevaluate things and really decide whether or not it was something we wanted to even continue. But we started writing new music, and the offers were still amazing for us. The growth of our actual touring business was still really strong. So it was like literally walking away from our livelihood if we, do we really want to start over and start something else? So, we really hunkered down after this record. But this record was really tough. There was a lot of infighting and a lot of struggles.
A lot of tension.
Yeah, a lot of tension. And
how long did you guys?
It was kind of quiet tension. Like I didn't even see. I found out 2 weeks before Andy left that he was leaving, and I found out on tour. like when the tour ended, he left. So it was I was blindsided.
That's my next question.
None of us really knew. So, and that's what I mean. It's not for everybody. This life isn't for everybody. The touring isn't for everybody. Being away from family and loved ones. He was married, and his marriage literally ended probably because distance from, wife or whatever. I have no idea. But he was done. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you got to really reassess things because, him and I were the pretty much the principal songwriters at the time. So,
you still talk to him?
No, I haven't talked to any in years.
Wow.
Yeah. No clue. I think he lives in Michigan, but I have no clue. No clue what he's doing.
That's sad, man.
Yeah. He was a great guitar player. Sucks.
Yeah, I remember him all the time back in the
He was like my best friend.
Kinda.
Yeah, so it was like I said, it was pretty surprising. Like I had no idea. So it was.
Does he keep in contact with anybody in the band? Or
No,
it's done?
he's completely. No one knows what he's doing. I heard through a friend that he might be living in Michigan. So outside of that, I really don't know.
All right, man. Non-point
Bummer.
miracle. Bummer. I know. I don't know.
Fucking bummer, man.
Yeah.
Yes. Then
it's a miracle. You got a new guitar player.
Yes. That's when we got Zach. He was, I mean, this album cover pretty much says it all. We were reinvigorated. We got a bunch of people that were reaching out to us asking, about trying out for the band. So it kind of made us rethink things. We had a little bit of time off between Vengeance and Miracle. We made some changes in. At the time, we ended up doing this through Rocket Science, which was a conglomerate through old friends of ours that used to work at MCA that started a distro company. And were willing to put out a non-point record. They didn't care what we did. They just wanted to be the band the label that put out the non-point record, the next non-point record. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. That's pretty much what made us decide to do this record. And then we got a hold of Zach. He was a friend of a friend out of Chicago. Sat him down, started working with him. He was a little bit of a different style, but at this point, business had to keep moving. We were getting offers, and people wanted a new record. We had a distro company that wanted to release that. We were getting advances and stuff like that. So we wanted to get over the hump, and that's what Miracle did for us. And it did. It was our highest charting record at the time.
Did you guys have front lines on this record? Or was
I
it
think
the
so.
next
Yeah.
record?
Yeah, it was on this one.
What was that like filming that video? I mean, that was pretty serious.
It's strange because my dad's buried there now.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he wasn't then?
And he wasn't then. At the time, my brother, who is ex-EOD, for if you ever seen Hurt Locker, the dude with that's my brother. He did that for over a decade for the Navy. Was Secret Service for President Clinton for some time, sweeping rooms whenever he spoke overseas. So my brother doing all the tours overseas and working for I think it was Blackbird, or the company that was actually trying to help rebuild Iraq and Afghanistan after all the warring had happened. He took a couple private contracts where you get paid an ungodly amount of money for 6 months worth of work that he couldn't turn down. But he did a lot of scary work. And, stories he can't really talk about, never wanted to talk about. Stories I still to this day have never heard. But it was enough that he wanted to get out of the service. And when he came home, watching my brother deal with, PTSD was odd because him and I were so close growing up. We're only 2 years apart, and seeing him come back a different person from the military, and doing what they do. I can't say it enough that it's a different breed of person when they come back. My brother has relationships with people that he served with that, you know, I'm jealous of the
Bond.
You know, the bond that they have, but I wouldn't trade places with the experience. You know, those kind of experiences, you know, make certain bonds that, you know, looking over to another dude and going, hey, we might not make it out of this, but I'm here to the end with you. It kind of, it turns a person into a different kind of, you know, for lack of a better word, animal.
Yeah.
And seeing my brother come home and, you know, silly shit, pine cones rolling on the roof of the awning. And because it's a metal roof, pine cone rolling on the roof sounds like a grenade that just hit a roof and is rolling down the side of the damn building. So small things like that would jar him, or
it kind of inspired you to write about it.
Yeah. So those kind of things, you know, hit deeper than I think people took this intention. I didn't write a song to write a military song.
Right. I like that, but
I wrote a song to write a song so my brother understood that I understood who he is now, and that even someone as close as your brother, you have to give them that thanks for what they're doing, for just you being able to say that you have freedom. You know, it's the harm's way that they put themselves in is it's worth a fucking song.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, man. You almost went too, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, but that's why I went into the Air Force, because they have the best food, apparently.
Yes. Cool. Man, that's a great story.
Damn, y'all can laugh. Shit, I'm laying down some bangers here, man. I know y'all can't laugh with him. I know y'all just quiet back there. Sorry. Okay, and action.
Next. Self-titled record.
Yes, that was the new beginning. We found some really fresh guitar players, new vibe. Just that's when we started to break away again.
Yeah.
And after Miracle being our highest charting, that was our next highest charting. So we saw the upswing. We were feeling the love. Breaking Skin did phenomenal at radio for us.
Do you have I Said It? Isn't that on that one, or is that may have been later?
Yes, I said it was. No.
That was on the return one.
Hang on for a second. No, Breaking Skin was on the return.
Yeah.
That one was Left for You.
Yes.
That's when radio really opened up for us.
That's a great song.
Left for You started to take off. That was the song that we did with the songwriter. And then the next song that we released, if I'm not mistaken, was... oh, this is the wrong back. That's right. Yes, the To the Pain one. Here, pass me the To the Pain. Here we go.
There we go.
Back. I have 100 and...
You have a lot of songs.
No, I have 208 songs published. So Left for You, and then it was... yeah, we were going to go after Another Mistake, and then the label asked us to go back in and do the return. And then we felt like we were going through the machine again. And that's when things started to
That's when this happened, the return?
Yeah, because that's when we felt like we were starting to lose our freedom again. Really on that last record. From there, it really started to feel like there were too many opinions coming in, and they were coming in a little too late. You know, we're, you know, like our manager at the time said, you know, you're going to get a fucking non-point record. If you haven't learned from the last 7 what kind of record you're going to get from these guys.
You guys are consistent.
Yeah, you're gonna be sadly mistaken once that next track hits your playlist. But From there, though, I have to be honest, during that process, because we were working with Johnny K, we had just brought Johnny K aboard. He had done Disturbed. Again, working with a producer whose opinion, just out of the box because of the resume, you want to respect. You know, I started opening up my songwriting game a little bit more.
And he's a musician himself, right, Johnny K? So
Yeah.
He worked with you.
Yeah.
I mean, worked with your band, probably.
Yeah, so having a respectable opinion to bounce ideas off of was cool. It was cool. At the time, though, it was still a case of, you know, how do we feel about filtering our music through, you know, another entity at the end of the day. And we felt good about it because we were getting success. We were loving the songs that we were doing. So, but at the very end of this whole recording process, we got sent back in to do Left for You with a songwriter. And though radio loved it, our fan base thought it stepped a little bit outside of the pond that we normally swim.
Was that the first song you used with it?
Correct, that we released on that one. So we dug a little hole again with that record. Gained new fans, lost some old fans. And that's just the honest truth.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's, you know, gained younger fans, lost some older fans. Which, at the end of the day, if you talk to any band, that's what they hope for, you know, for their fan base to constantly grow and younger fans to continue. So, you know, what looked good on paper really didn't feel so great, you know, deep inside. Once everything was said and done, because at the end of the day, I couldn't just rest it on my faults or my mistakes or my choice to say this is the end all be all song and this is what we're going to release to radio. If they like it, they'll like it. If they don't, they don't. You know, you would be shooting yourself in the foot if you didn't go through this entire industry and your entire career, if you decide to do a band and be in a band, to continuously remind yourself that you are in a industry and a livelihood that is based on opinion. It's opinion. It's all opinion. My opinion versus yours. You like it, I don't like it. Not saying that my opinion's any better than yours, but at the end of the day, whether or not somebody thinks what I'm saying right now is cool, whether or not they dig the song that I'm singing, the words that I'm using, the lyrics that I'm spitting out, the message that I have, all decides whether or not I eat. So knowing that, I have to walk in with some kind of common sense. And by that point, and moving on to The Return, I really consider myself a songwriter because I had thrown my ideas up against the best, and 90% of everything on that record stayed that way. Maybe a melody here, a note here, maybe switching around some parts, but the guts in that record was all us. So when we moved to this record, we started asking ourselves, did we want to spend the money to do what we knew we could do ourselves, which we had done for 7 records before that. So we went back to counting on ourselves, stayed as steadfast as we could with the label, before we both just decided that they wanted something different from us. We saw the bands going through their label dealing with struggles that we didn't want to deal with our fan base because of opinions coming from the label. So though their intentions were always good, like every label's intentions are good, they don't go with the intention of fucking up your band and hoping you don't sell any records. Their intention is like, hey, we've seen you doing what you've done for the last couple of years. Maybe with our connections, maybe with our funding, maybe we can take you guys to another level that maybe you're not even aware of. So God bless Razor and Tie for taking a chance on us, especially this deep in. But but we couldn't put out a real non-point record there at the end of the day. And I think they realized it too. So we separated. You know, they went their way, we went our way. Could we have done another record with them? Probably. Would I have felt as honest about the record? No. And that's why we stood our ground. Moved on from the return.
Yeah.
And then we went to, and granted, Breaking Skin was, like I said, it did great. It
a great
was
song.
It was one of our strongest songs. Misery was another one. Razors got this was the record that I really felt like I pretty much loved every single song on this record.
Oh.
And I hadn't felt that for a long time. You know, the records being what they are, our band was always asked for more. So we didn't want to disappoint our fan base. We didn't want to put pause on our livelihood. We wanted opinions to stay strong because at the end of the day, it's the way I feed myself. So if somebody wants a new non-point record and they're willing to pay me to put it out, I'm going to put it out.
How long did it take you to write all these songs?
That one, again, we had time, but we put time. We set aside time.
Okay.
We're at the point where in 3 months, if we don't have something, there's a fucking problem. So we set aside 3 months, and at the end of 3 months, currently, I got about 20 songs working.
Wow.
But I've sent one to our producer because it's the closest one there. And I didn't want him to think something or feel like there was an intention or hear something that wasn't almost there before he starts throwing an opinion on it. But we took a year off to follow up Poison Red.
Poison Red is a great record.
And that's
First
why.
vinyl.
Right. And this was when we got back with family. And you can tell because the Universal Group released this, and this was MCA days. So half my people that used to work at MCA, we pass in the building or support the Spine Farm family and the Universal family for getting us back. So there's sort of a home feeling, and you know, I knew this was the right label for us. When I sat down our first meeting with Jonas, the guy who heads the label, and you know, managers talking and promo people are talking, and Jonas has got his leg up, and I'm sitting next to him, and two people are talking. He goes, "How many labels have you been on?" And I'm like, "You're number 5." And he goes, "This is your last label. I'm not letting you go anywhere else." He goes, "You guys deserve to stop moving around." He goes, "This is going to be your last one." And he goes, "Just give me a non-point record. That's all I care about. I don't give a shit how many records you sell.
Wow.
We're going to try to sell as many as you can." He goes, "But I want to put out the next non-point record." And that's when I knew I was home. And it's that kind of freedom that allowed us to do this record. And our greatest song to date is on this record.
What song is it?
It's a toss-up, but I really believe that My Last Dying Breath is the end-all, be-all non-point song. Between that and Divided Conquer Them, those two songs. They run the gambit of what this band can really do, and where I feel like we're gonna take legacy bands into a new catalog. Because the record that we're about to release, I need to do another one after it. There's no doubt in my mind. Because we're in a groove right now that took all of that to get to.
Yeah.
And now that I'm here, and you know, thankfully my bandmates are cool about it, but you'll see at the bottom it says, produced by Nonpoint and co-produced by Rob Rusha and Elias Soriano, because they saw how much work I put into this record. And I put the same amount of work into all the other ones beforehand. But it was really this record that I think my bandmates realized that though we're all captains and we all have equal pull and push in opinions in this band, and I value everyone's opinion just as much as I value my own, at the end of the day, you can't have 5 hands on the wheel. And the guys not so much trusted me, because it's not something that I intended on. It was just at the end of the whole recording process, our producer at the time saying, hey man, this couldn't have got done without you doing what you did on this record. So I want to share my co-production credit with you. So talk to the guys about it. And when I talked to the guys about it, there was that understanding that, okay, I get it. That there was that little bit of effort that's only coming now because of my tenure and because of my experience. That all of those records under my belt didn't make me a good songwriter. All of the mistakes under my belt made me realize who I really wanted to be. And this record was the first time that I got BC in my band. And since having BC in my band, I haven't felt this strong about Nonpoint as a whole since Andy was in the band. There was a bit of uncertainty just because stylistically it wasn't there, chemistry-wise it wasn't there, or just lifestyle-wise it wasn't the right thing for people.
Yeah.
BC's been in the business long enough, and he's a strong enough player, both physically and visually, that he fits, and that's why we've been chasing him for so many years. And though even in some songwriting situations we butt heads, him and I love it because his opinion really matters to me, and that hasn't happened in a long fucking time. Outside of Rob's opinion, outside of Andy's opinion, outside of even Ken's opinion. At the end of the day, we all got to get up there and play it. So if one of us really doesn't feel good about it, I want to know it. And I want to know your reasons why. And if it's just, it's fucking shit, I don't like it, I can't tell you why, then that means that it's just one opinion versus another.
Right.
But if I could tell you why I like my part here, and you want to go that deep with intention in your music, then that's the ship that I want to be on. And when BC joined the band, I felt like I could step away from the wheel and let somebody else grab the wheel and inspire something else in the band, because now I got a fresh head who's a ridiculous guitar player that's going to feed me riffs that I'd never heard before. So stylistically, he was doing the technical stuff that Dave was doing through the self-titled and the return. But the songwriting struggle that I was getting with Dave Lizio during those 2 records, I was getting riffs and music from BC that was already there. Wow. So it was inspiring me to write outside of my box and in my comfort zone. As weird as that sounds. Like, it felt like, God, I've been wanting to hear riffs like this for years, but it's nothing like I ever heard. What do I get to do now? And then now I'm singing in melodies that I never did. Or my melodies over those kind of riffs still sound different. So there's that Nonpoint DNA that gets to stay in the music, but now I got a guy writing leads that gives a shit.
Yeah.
More so than just throwing on a cape and flying around the room and pretending that he's a fucking guitar hero. It's like, as much as I would love to be on stage and do a cappella parts for entire verses, it doesn't serve us, because we have an intention as a band. And not saying that you can't play in and out of those things. That's what we did with this record. And we were able to stay aggressive while delving into more emotionally, just deeper parts, musically, melody-wise, lyrically.
It's strong.
And from here we got to go somewhere. So
BC helps you also with the logo, not the logo, but like the album cover and artwork.
He did all the artwork on this one. He did the artwork on that one.
Did he?
Yeah, we started. I started an idea, and then we threw it. Same thing with this. We again, it's a group effort. We really want our band members to be involved. Is it always the best idea? No. Sometimes we get into arguments that we shouldn't, because it doesn't take that many heads to make that kind of decision. But fuck it. It's the right way to do it. Let everybody be in it. Let everything be transparent as we possibly can without hurting feelings. And you'll get something like that.
It's rare that you guys have been around this long, since the early 2000s, when wild bands kind of jumped off.
So much.
What advice do you have, man, for younger bands starting out?
Don't write shitty songs. Set your bar high. People leave it up to other people to fix for them. And that's the problem. That's really bands and songwriters and even producers have gotten way too complacent. It takes more care. It takes more attention. It takes more effort. It takes a love for it. That's what it takes more of than anything. If you are not here loving it as much as me, hit the fucking bricks for real. Because this is what I stand on every day. So, that producer gets to go home and forget about it. I got to live on this thing for the next, however many years I decide to stay in Nonpoint. I'm still living mistakes, So you if you're not in it for real, because you really want to be in it, then just don't be in it. And now I feel like we're at that point. I got a producer that's in it. I got band members that are in it. I got a label that's in it. It's like I really feel like, it's like, why am I going to fucking stop now?
When are you guys going to make a new Nonpoint record?
February.
Go in the
studio.
You got any songs written so far? Or?
20.
20.
Yeah, we're going to pick 10. We're only giving people 10. I want 10 of the best songs that I've ever written in my life.
That's great. Cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you being here, brother.
Thanks. Is that it?
That's it, man.
No way!
But we still got Corey coming.
That's right.
So.
That's right. He's such an ass.
Corey Lowery's here. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up, Sky?
Thank you for being there, brother.
My family.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good, man.
Right on, right on.
How'd you guys first meet? You guys know each other?
I met this dude in South Florida. His band gave us an opportunity to play a show at this place called the Button South in Fort Lauderdale. Foudy Loudy.
Florida.
Shout out. Yeah, it was Stuck Mojo. And
it's incredible. Because when we would tour, and
yeah, the pig thing.
And we were kind of this underground thing that just building at that point. I mean, we were just starting to travel around America and stuff, and Florida had a great fan base, but we would always find out who was the next, who's making some noise, and try to build those relationships. We heard about this band called Nonpoint, and I mean, I remember that night. I remember watching you guys. Like,
really?
I swear to God, I sat and watched the whole show.
Really?
I watched the whole show. I'd never watched the show. I was like, I'd always watch a couple songs, and then you get ready because you're up next. But I remember, they came out, and I mean, they were trying to cut heads.
Yeah, we were. You know what it was? It was that was during that time where we're like, hey man, we don't get to play in front of this many people, so we better do some shit tonight.
So I said, I was like, oh, look at this, and he's up there. Like, I don't know, I think he took one breath at the beginning of the set. Like, all that stuff happened. That was pretty good, actually. Did you record that? No. But then I watched the show. I was like, man, okay. And I went back in the dressing room. I said, Rich, I said, Bones, let's bring the A game tonight. Because this game on. This is like, and it was their hometown. They had their following also.
That was a crazy time.
So it was a crazy night, and became friends. Like instantly, I think we all went to hang out afterwards. And
Yep.
Rob and I talked about, leveling the bar.
And me and Bones went and sat at the bar.
Sat at the bar.
Sat at the bar.
Sat at the bar.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
But
then we saw you guys again in at the prop room upstairs club. I want to say it's where the first Revolution or something. It was a prop room. It was the upstairs room where you guys played, and it was you guys. I want to say Orange 9mm and Deftones.
That's about maybe right.
Yeah, and it was the upstairs room in this big
Orange 9. Wow.
Yeah, and it was Deftones on I want to say Around the Fur. But you guys played, and that's when I was like, "Hey, remember us from the Blunt South? It's good to see y'all again."
I mean, everybody, y'all were hungry, man. That was the thing, and to this day, props for staying hungry. The thing about it is, you got to be, if you want to play in the game, and you got to have that initial love that you had, listening to your first songs, and wow, and then trying to sing or play or whatever, and then you're like, that's not bad, and then you find some guys that.
It's funny because his band was one of the only bands that I listened to in rock music at the time because. I wasn't a rock fan.
You had like hip hop?
I was only hip hop, like literally only hip hop for my entire till I was 22, and then I met Rob through a friend of mine who was waiting tables at a restaurant, who was the bass player for Nonpoint Factor, that guy Hector I was talking about. But his band, Dime Store Hoods, was another one. Of all the names I'm going to pick some weird ones. Dime Store Hoods, Orange 9mm.
24/7 Spies was
24/7, yeah. All those rap core bands I was like, okay, I can do this. And then at the time I had already heard of Rage Against the Machine, but, it wasn't my bag. And I think that's why Rob, my drummer, was so like, not even Rob, my bass player Hector was like, hey, I hear you have a voice. I was a host at a restaurant. I was a host at a restaurant singing happy birthday to old women.
What restaurant was it?
It was called Beverly Hills Cafe in South Florida. And it was this old lunchtime restaurant that would fill up with blue hairs every single day. And Hector, the bass player, he was my weed hookup at the time. So I didn't even know he played bass. I just knew he was a hookup. So I hung out with him, and then he was having issues with his singer at the time, and heard me singing Happy Birthday, and just heard that I had some kind of a fucking
kind of tune.
And it was
he's
like,
a singer,
he's a singer, man. And he was like, hey, bro, you should come on and watch my jam. Watch me jam with my band. You're really good, man. Trust me, man, you could sing it, man. I'm
Sounds
telling
good.
You.
Where's my bag?
Yeah, and I went to a couple of their rehearsals of them just jamming, and their singer never showed up in the 2 months that I had gone. And I'm always waiting for this guy to show up, waiting for him to, like, the door to open and me go, hey, I'm just friends of theirs and whatever. And then Hector was like, hey, you should pick up the mic one day, man, and sing. All the guys are friends with you, man. They know, they won't care. Our singer's never there anyway. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man, you should do it tonight. I was like, all right. So I was like, well, where's that demo you guys were fooling around with? So he put in the demo in the demo tape. And then I started writing some silly words down, and then we get to rehearsal, or their rehearsal.
Oh, you got the rehearsal.
They
just got there. You got the rehearsal.
Yeah. So I'm here to do
I'm here for my rehearsal.
Yeah. No, I got there and I was to watch them jam, and like 2 or 3 songs went by that they jammed, and Rob in total, Rob, so total Rob fashion, he goes, so you're going to get up and sing or what?
But that's Rob.
Yeah,
That's
and I
Rob.
was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll get up, and I grabbed the microphone, and they start playing the song that was on the demo, so I started doing some stuff, and then I could, because Rob was playing, and then you see, out of your corner of your eye, you see when someone straightens up a little bit and starts kind of,
Yeah,
and then he looks over at Hector, and looks over at me, and he goes, like pointing with his chin.
Which says 1,000
Yeah,
words.
it says a million things. And we didn't even get through the whole song. Rob dropped the sticks, stops playing. He goes, "You're in the band," and that was it.
That's it.
And that was it. And I was like, I didn't even want to join a band. I was like, okay. What do I have to pay something? What am I doing right now? What the fuck just happened? I'm in a band now? What the hell? I was just fooling around, man. That day, halfway through the first song, Rob had already made his decision that he was gonna make me the singer of his band.
And like, look, once
didn't
he
even
makes
really
his
met me.
decision, once he makes his decision,
That's it.
If you ever knew Rob, like this is it,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and it's
Yeah.
he's one of the realest guys I know in this thing. And,
Yeah. I've seen him chase off a guy that was 6'4", that had 2 handfuls of my dreads, was literally like forearm pounding my back, while one of my crew guys, my tour manager, Derek Berry, was wrapped around the guy because he was in a drunken rage with his walkie-talkie off. His hip smashing the guy in the nose, and he still wouldn't let me go. He still wouldn't let me go. Our guitar tech ran back to the bus. Somebody's got a hold of Elias's dreads and he won't let go. And Rob, in totally Puerto Rican fashion, puts his flip-flops on and goes, first. Goes running across the parking lot. That guy looked up and saw Rob coming down the ramp and let me go. And Rob got like from me to the chair, close to him, and the guy immediately put his hands up and started backing up, and Rob chased the guy into the middle of the street just with his looks. Just by looking as angry as he did, Rob chased the guy that was 6'4" into the middle of the fucking street. And if there wasn't a cop right there, I swear to God, Rob probably would have killed the fucking guy.
It would have killed him. But the same token, Rob's one of the sweetest guys.
Yes.
I don't want to paint the picture of
Yeah. But he don't let nobody fuck with his
very
family.
approachable, but
Yes.
but I wouldn't walk up and say
cross him.
something, something funny
Odd.
and fake or odd to him.
Yeah, advice for a meet and greet.
Yes. Yes.
Just smile and
Be normal.
be a normal
Be
person.
normal.
But getting back to you guys, 9 Point. I mean, like it's consistently since I've known you. They're not changed at all. It's a continuous growth. To stay in this game, you've kept it open, and I still don't think you've heard the best 9 Point song.
No, it hasn't happened. I keep saying I haven't written my best record.
But
thank you.
And you only know that
Glad
because
somebody sees it.
Well, yeah. I mean, now give me the $20. No.
Yeah.
but like takes 5 days now.
Yeah, I know.
hate that.
I know.
But they see how we get off track.
Yeah, it's old friends.
But no, it's like the constant growth, and because you've done this record, and then you've done this record, and you've done this record, and the thing is you've got to stay true to who you are. The hardest thing to do in this business, and that's one thing that you always have done is stayed.
And they almost penalize you for it.
They
almost give you shit.
You have to
right?
fight to
to
be yourself. It's the hardest thing to do. I tell these new bands that I produce, I'm like, we want to sound like this. We like this band and that band. I'm like, that's awesome, man. I like Beethoven. Doesn't mean I'm gonna play classical. Yeah. I want to find out what it sounds like. Just play music for a second. I don't even care what the song is. Play music, and I can tell how they're playing, because it's your personality. It's like your voice when you're talking. Everybody's got their own, and I'm gonna see how you're playing. Let's start putting some chord progressions around that, and let's find out who you are.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, they're like, I can't sing. I'm like, no, you just don't know your range. You just don't know what everyone can find their thing. You just got to give yourself the time and if you really give a shit about it and you focus on it and you care about it, it's going to come out.
Well, and the cool thing about your voice, not only can you rap, can you scream, can you? There's a certain. It's more of a style that's still finding itself even through the years. You know what I mean? For each record, a different kind of rhythm. I mean, we'd sit in the back of the bus and we would go over songs and rhythms from from all these things.
Yeah,
and it's like, who was it? It's Adam. What damn song was it? He played it, I don't know, till like 4 in the morning on repeat, a Non-Point song. My bunk is right beside the door of this thing, and it's on 100 in there. You know, I think they brought it in a PA system in the back lounge, and it's Non-Point till like 4. Like it's like, I'm like, good God, you know, and like, and you know, by the end of it, I'm singing, sleeping and singing along with it. And shit. I'm like, and he opens the door. Hey man, listen to this part. I'm like, I have for like 30 times, because he kind of just found, you know, like he was kind of going through. When you first start a band, you start finding out about each other, bands you like, and stuff like who you tour with. And I said, man, yeah, Non-Point, you should check him out. And he's, you know, he'll go buy it, all your stuff, and like going through, man, check this song out. I'm like, I know that song, man. But yeah, it's to keep growing like that, man. I hope you wish you best of success.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
I still like 10 more records under my belt. I feel like I ain't got no. We gotta write a song together, man.
We're going to write a
for
song.
real.
Listen,
right now.
Brad, like,
right now.
And back, his new guitar player was my old guitar player in I Empire. Brad, one of the best guitar players, like most inventive. Talk about be yourself. And the arguments, you know, I was listening to earlier. The arguments you get into. Brad's like layers, man. He is like layers of knowledge, and so are you. You know what I mean? And both of you having ideas, I can see, because I had him with Brad. I would like, you know, he's got a great part, I got a great part, and it's like, and sometimes at the end of it, I would, you know, as a producer side of the fence, I would have to say, you know what? I'm gonna smash both these damn ideas together. And sometimes
we do that a lot.
Sometimes that's the best. That's the best to say.
We do that.
You know, yeah. And but you wouldn't do it with somebody you didn't trust. And Brad's that guy when you're saying that trust level, because listen.
But you know, even now I'm finding in the writing process with Brad that if it's good, he's like, okay, that's good. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. That's why I value his opinion so much, because at a certain point, he knows when something's good or bad.
Yeah.
And I can send him something first listen, and even before I send it, I know whether or not he's gonna like it.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah,
I'm like, hey,
send it, and you're like,
hey, just so you.
Damn, he's not gonna like it.
I know. I should have stacked harmonies on it. He doesn't hear what I'm hearing. He doesn't see it. And again, we only have one record under our belt together. So
and that grows.
But that's another reason why I feel like I have so many more songs that need to get written, because he's like a fucking library of riffs that I get to play in now.
Yeah, but you're a library of melody.
Yeah.
You're a library of like using each voice as quick as, you know, my favorite part was writing something.
And
it could be a simple, you can go ding, 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 and put it on loop, and he'll come up with the coolest guitar part behind that. You're like, it's a hit.
Yeah.
And you're like, and this isn't ding, ding, ding. That's not what the hit is, really.
No.
Supposedly that's the song.
Yeah.
But what he's doing behind it, you know.
You know what's funny is that that's absolutely true about his opinion of things, because if I send him a chorus with like a vocal and maybe one double or maybe one harmony, I don't get a reaction. But if I send a vocal with like 15 different tracks stacked on top of it, wide, alternate lines, harmonies, low harmonies that only come in for the... When it does that, he's like, I hear it, yes. You know what I mean? So I'm learning his writing.
Because
I need to talk to you more about it. Seriously. Because I didn't think think it layers like you just mentioned it. That's a great word to describe the way his head works.
The way his head works is that.
He's which is good, because I'm always thinking about everything else too. So the fact that he's thinking about all those other things too is that's probably why we write so well together.
It would coming from
that's why you
guitar
need to write a song.
We're going to write a song. Listen, on camera. We're gonna write it.
We're gonna write a song. You heard it first.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's
now
gonna
it's
happen.
a commitment.
It's gonna happen. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Because
I'm serious.
you know, like I said,
I just
we
like your
grew up
melody.
together in this
I like your
game,
melodies. I like your harmonies. I like your playing style and just your songwriting. Like I said, it's the depth and the care that you have on the song that you can sit around. I mean, this is the fucking fun part about it. People don't. All the fun has been yanked out of it. That's why Sylvia Massey is one of my favorite producers in the world. Woman has taken a snare and putting in the inside of a nuclear power plant decommissioned stack just to get one snare to, like, what happened to that? Like, what happened to sitting around and talking about all the fun stuff? Nobody's even taking it into consideration. Yeah, man, the fun, the greatness.
What would it sound like if
it.
we did this?
Let's just try it.
Let's just try it. And she's always put it out there.
She's always been like, God, she's one of the ones that I hope one day that I get to record something with her.
Oh, yeah.
But it's that reaching up into the ether and yanking something down that you know you're going to yank down. Even before you reach up there, you're like, I know what I want. And you reach up there and you grab it, and it might take you a fucking second to get it down, but once you got it, it's undeniable to the point where you're like, I know as soon as I drop this song, I'm going to get listens, you know.
And you know, like, you also know, team-wise, you work hard together, and you're having fun. And the thing is, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, you're going to sacrifice. There's going to be that thing where I would fight for it, but
yeah, totally.
But if you're having fun with it, and no one
won't let somebody take it away from you. You
like,
won't let somebody take the fun out of it for you.
But you'll also, like, and that's the thing, like, if someone brings something that's better than, like, if you brought something, because I've brought stuff to Brad sometimes, and I'm like, this is a beast, deal with it, you know, and he would say, man, but it would inspire him to bring something else into the table, and like, and that's the key of being in a band. That's why, you know, you do the split thing together and all that stuff. It's about inspiring each other. The more you do that, there is no ceiling to this thing. You can move, and you know, you're just like along for the journey. Right. Like when you start mumbling some lyrics and you say, you know, an A or an I or an U, and it sounded like, you know, hey, this sounds like I said, you know, pain over here, or sad, or whatever. And then you're like, and then you start thinking, as soon as you say that word, a line comes to your head. It's getting out of the way, and you're not just sitting there like, you know, here's my thesaurus. Okay,
here's my rhyming
dictionary. Yeah. And you know, hold on, let me watch some more TV. Oh yeah, I'll get back to this hit. Yeah. It's not like that happens. No. You know what I mean? It's more of a.
You know what's funny? I get a song from somebody, and if I know it's there, I can't do anything else but work on that right now. Right. No matter what time of the day, doesn't matter what day it is, doesn't matter what I had scheduled later on that day, never matters. If I hear it immediately, I want it. That's why I'm doing what I do.
It's gonna be fun. We rock.
Right.
Yes, dude.
It's like I'm gonna hear it and want to work on it. So again, another great reason that I'm happy that BC's in the band now.
I appreciate you guys being out here, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
This is gonna be like the non-point, and then a special guest, Corey. It's gonna be like 5 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, of you, special guest.
My wife said you should co-host.
Just because there's so much, you know. Hopefully, you guys.
You know what? You guys should really consider that, because you got the history.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to talk about the history and everything? This guy is, and the knowledge, the songwriting. I mean, he'll tell you. I chased Corey. I call. You got the first phone call when Ken left the band. First phone call. Wow. You were the first phone call. Timing wasn't right.
Corey, I would have said yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was you, baby.
Listen, you know, music. You know, like people say, who are you going to play with? And you know, my musical career has been blessed to be around a tremendous amount of great players, and I've been blessed to be around it. Like, I'd never say never to anything of what the future may hold, of anything. Clint and I will always play together. You know, Robin, you know, of course.
Yeah, that's what. You know,
you know, Rob and I have talked about doing. That's how Dark New Day was put together. And, you know, these are moments in your life. I'm just along for the journey.
Yeah, you just want to play with your friends at a certain point.
At some
You know
point,
what I'm
like,
saying? That's how.
I don't have to prove. You don't have to prove
Yeah, when you've gone this
anything
long, you
this
just want to
long.
hang out and have a good time.
You want to pass the torch a little bit to some of the
Yeah.
other bands and jam with your friends.
Yeah.
And that's and be with your family. You know, because now we, you know, kind of family guys. So it's like, you respect. Hey man, that guy hurt. See, we tour, and I swear on festivals in the back, you know, I can sit at the catering table sometimes. Man, he's where I'm at right now. He's missing his kid or something like that, you know, or, you know, just, it's been, you can tell the guys have been out for 3-4 months straight.
One
It's
cycle,
like-
I was home 23 days.
Yeah, it's hard.
An entire cycle.
It's
An entire
hard.
2 singles. I was home 23 days. And that wasn't consecutive. That was like 2 days here, a day here because I just flew home just to get a day home.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand the kind of commitment and the kind of and what you're asked of when you
And you what? But you know,
Take this
and
on.
also you know, it takes a special person to deal with that at home, to hold the fort
wife.
together. The
Yeah.
kids have got, you know, thank
kids.
God for FaceTime.
yes.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
FaceTime
Sky's
was
the
like
limit.
the game changer for me. It's like,
Yeah.
you mean hold on a second? Like we're getting ready to go into the future here. I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my face in this thing. I want to be home. You
I know.
I keep waiting for that button where, like, you know, just beam me home, like, so beam me to the house.
Yeah, but it's you're gonna get one of these with the arm sticking out. God damn it! Can you send me back and reconfigure me?
That's bro. I'd be the first one, right?
Yep.
I just when you first get home and from a long tour, and you're still putting toilet paper on the seat,
Yes. Oh my God.
and then you realize this is my toilet.
Yeah.
I can do whatever. I don't have to, you know, because you know.
Yeah, that fear of pooping in public.
Yeah, it's gone.
Man, it's been
you
gone.
don't care. at
Yeah,
all.
man, 20 years ago, I left. I was like, well, I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
The worst was in a Walmart. I walked into, it was super early in the morning, and I walked into the ladies' bathroom. And I'm doing my business, having a normal morning, and I'm like, okay. And I'm getting ready to get out, and all of a sudden I hear a festival of women coming to this. Like, is every woman on earth? And then I was like, no way. And I'm
waiting
locked
in
in this
line.
little thing. I'm like, no way. And I'm like, and I look underneath, I'm seeing pumps and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, feet up, you know, and I'm sitting here like, what the? And I'm trying to wait it out. They're in there forever. And I'm like, fuck it. Click. And I'm like, ladies, I'm so sorry.
And just run
And
out.
I'm like, ah! And now I felt like, I felt a million. I'm like, I want to just disappear. I thought about, should I flush myself down the toilet just so I get out of this situation, because this is not good, right? But yeah, those are the fun. And then you get back to the bus, and a lady in my bucket, what? Traumatized. Like,
Yeah, like, did I just?
I'm gonna need therapy out there.
The police are gonna be knocking on the bus door.
We need to get out of here. Roll.
Yeah. We need to. I know we said we were gonna spend the night here, but we need to push on. Next down. Next down.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate everybody being here, man. This is
Thanks
means
for
a whole
having
lot,
me,
brother.
Scott. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Love Non-Point.
bring me to your lovely
Love
home.
this
It's
dude.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Good company.
Good company.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, bud.
Much love.
From the second that I came to life, everything seemed fine. Things got easy enough for the masses, but the rest of us lay claim